One, how's it going? I think I have my monitor on. One sec. It started so good. Okay. So now we are live. Hi Syntax, how's it going? Cool. I think my audio should be good. Please let me know in the chat. I had to change to a different provider from OBS to Streamlabs. So I had to re-import all the audio settings and everything. So just let me know quickly. Hey Johnny. Um, yeah, if the audio is good. If it's sometimes it's just on one side of the speakers, but yeah, let me know. Cool. Yes. So again, as already teased with my brand new amazing starting screen here, we will be, or I will be talking about the DeLorean, and just wanted to show the progress. It's really coming along super nice. We do have now a fully working effects pipeline using ShotGrid. So whenever we update things and publish the caches, they will be uploaded to Dropbox. Then they will be synced because it's because it will be a shared project internationally, I would say. So we have different people working on this. So we need to make sure that the data is streamlined. We have the right hierarchies, the right conventions, and all of that. So that is working. And what I have been working on the last couple of days is working on the Katana and Nuke side. So I need to make sure that the caches we get from effects are imported properly. We get the same attributes and everything, and then obviously render this, and then go into Nuke and make sure that the pass is coming properly, and that we can actually do some proper compositing. So that is what I will be going over today. I'll just show you how I'm setting things up and how I am doing things. Furthermore, towards the end, I got actually a pretty cool new book. Do I have it here? Yeah, one second. Just grab that. So I got a really good deal. Someone was selling all their stuff, and I got a really epic Ready Player One book. And obviously, Ready Player One has the DeLorean in it. You can see that right here. So I found a really good page in here, which was showcasing, first of all, the DeLorean, but then also some of those space shots. Let me just find that quick. Yeah, something like this. So if you see it close enough, you'll see that the asteroid belt is actually made of trash. So that is something what I'll probably work on in Houdini today. So I'll be doing some instancing, doing this trash. But right now, our trash belt or our asteroid belt is made of just little points and asteroid field, like regular rocks. You can see that. So that's our current asteroid field. Nothing too spectacular, but I thought it would be a nice touch to have more detail on it. So a couple of questions. Is this Katana? Yes, this is Katana. I hope the stream should be in at least 2K. Let me check. Yeah, so you should be able to go 2K if possible. For me, it's a bit tough to make it even larger because it's just so big in my face. But I will try to explain things and zoom in if needed. Yeah, so I haven't been working on Katana for a while, but I thought it's definitely time to jump on this again. How many people working on this? Yeah, it's a similar idea as a Star Wars project, which is also still ongoing. Right now we are 5 modelers doing, we have 2 sequences. I'll show them in a little bit. So we have 2 sequences, and the second sequence is where the DeLorean arrives in our modern cities. So we need some set extensions, some buildings. I can show them in a little bit. So that is currently working, and then we've got two effects artists. One is Karsten, who's also VFX supervisor, whatever you want to call it. And the same as myself, I'm helping with the effects, but I'm mainly doing the creative and project management, which is obviously also quite important as everything needs to get together. And then we will have one comper as well. That is the plan. Blender or Maya? Why? Good question. What tools do you use for pipeline sync tasks or as a freelance make pipeline? I'm currently testing ShotGrid, and so far it has been going really well. Can I? So this is our ShotGrid landing page, and ShotGrid has lots of integrations for not for Katana, but for Nuke and Houdini, and that is our main creation DCCs. So I'll be just like Houdini will be our main DCC to create the content, anyways, but Katana will be used for rendering and multi-shot workflows. So BTF. Back to the Future, it's our code name. We probably should not be using this because of licensing issues. But these are the things. So this is one of the shots. I can probably make this a little bit larger still. So we are in deep space. There's a camera pan, and we see this wormhole coming. This will be quite effects heavy. This is obviously just a previs, and then you'll see the DeLorean traveling through space. The idea was right after the movie where they disappear from the tarmac and the wheels are burning and whatever, we just do like a fan project where we are in space, we see it's traveling, and then lots of effects. Here's already one of the effects elements Karsten was working on. It's like when it's traveling through this wormhole, we get these lighting sparks, and let's see what else he did. These electric grids on it, so lots of iterations. This is a close-up shot where where we want to showcase the vehicle and obviously all what is going around it. And then towards the end of this sequence, like a portal opens and it flies through it, and then we are back in deep space, and that's essentially like a fade out. And then the DeLorean arrival sequences, again, just previous. So these are buildings in a city, and then this portal kind of forms and opens, and then there's a huge shockwave, and then there will be glass destruction and metal bending, and then the DeLorean jumps out of that. And obviously these are just some ideas we had just to get some previs in, nothing crazy. But yeah, so in the end, this sequence will just be one shot. We have already captured this, so that is already in the pipeline. I haven't uploaded it to ShotGrid just yet. Let's see what I can share. I can just put this over here. And then obviously on our Discord, if you are new to my channel or in general, there should be a link in this video description, if I'm not mistaken. Streamlabs, why is there a Streamlabs thing? Well, below the Streamlabs thing in the description, you get a link to the Discord community. And on that, you will be able to join the project, see live updates. So obviously, lots of effects are here. This is a thruster I developed. So this is now a close-up of that flying through space. Thruster, lightning. This is one update of the look dev, which is like this. That's the Substance Painter scene file. Saturn, I keep saying Saturn to it, but it's just some planet with an astrobale. It's not supposed to be our Saturn, but as I explained in the beginning, I'm planning to put some debris pieces here and make it a little bit more interesting. DeLorean, what's this? Oh yeah, here's the concept of the arrival. And this already has some paint overlays, but it's not paint and geometry overlays. So we already have some pre-modeling on top of this. Let me just get my fancy N when I can get it. One sec, there's some process hanging here. Epic pen. Don't disappoint. There it is. All right, so okay, I can paint, which is great. Yeah, so this bridge, like all of this is plate right now, and the buildings in the back. I'll show you the original plate in a bit. So this building here will be set extended. We are trying to go like a Blade Runner cyberpunk, modern sci-fi thing, but not too crazy. Something like that. We modeled this whole bridge because we will destruct some elements. So when this portal opens, there will be lots of lightnings, and then there will be a huge shockwave, and things will go crazy. Let me just catch up on the questions here. Gaffer, I'm not obviously I use Gaffer full time at work, but I haven't really spent too much time for personal projects on it. And Katana is just I just know Katana a lot better than Gaffer, I would say. But maybe in the future, more Gaffer content, sure. The render will be 3D Light. We render everything in Arnold. Hey Paul, nice to have you. I show you this. We have already a great match move, so everything is captured. We have an extracted camera, so we can just place the stuff. All right, so yeah, the portal will open here. That is the idea. Let me just go back to Discord. We have our modeling whips. Trying to find our oh, it's actually in a status, I think. Yes. It's a little bit fast. I think I need to download this again because it doesn't play weirdly enough on Discord. All right, so it's a bit fast for sure, but this is the tracked plate. So we're under the bridge. You can see it's really nicely tracked, and we've got the proxy geos in. You will see that this is actually a stadium, which we are covering up. And yeah, so the model of the buildings in the foreground are, I would say, 90% completed. The car will obviously exit here and then hit on the ground and then do some spins and then stop in front of the camera. So we still need to animate all of that. Right now, the priority sequence is the one in space. So this is currently a little bit on the back burner, but this will be quite challenging because we need to create lots of reflection blocking. So if the car is here, we need to make sure that this is painted out. We need to replicate the water puddle. So on a technical side, this shot, I would say, is quite challenging to integrate it. And the other shot, the other sequence in space is a lot more challenging because of all the effects elements. Yeah. So what else can I show? Painted this thrusters. This energy shield is also a nice effect. And we will be adding all of these things together, and then in comp we make them shine, right? So it's lots of individual elements, but then in the end, hopefully it will be great. Yeah, Delorean tests, shading tests. Yeah, my planet tests. Yeah, this is currently the status of this. And yeah, so how does it work? I want to first show you probably the Houdini integration. Let me see, shotgun. So how it works, our shot grid page or shotgun page, this one, we can specify certain software elements. Now it wants to log in, which is totally fine. I'm just doing this on the side quick. Right, desktop is loading. Yeah, so we can specify all the software we have and then the locations where it has been installed. And then these applications will be displayed in the desktop version of ShotGrid. and it supports Linux, Mac, and Windows. So this is our launcher, and it's always live, so it's always pulling the data from the website or from the web API. And once it's loaded, you will see it populates with all the applications. And I want to load Houdini through ShotGrid. That way, it installs all the connections and all the bridges and everything with this, which is pretty cool. It just takes some time to load. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy to answer them. I'm reading them as we go. And obviously, if you like more of this live content, feel free to also like this video. That does support me a lot. Funny enough, if a live video gets lots of traction, then it will be shared in lots of these over landing pages of YouTube. So if you like it, please help me with that. Yeah, so again, I'll show you quickly Houdini Bridge and how that works and how we can publish things. It's actually a super versatile platform. And then I can also launch directly to Deadline, which is my farm manager. So I can actually launch these things directly from ShotGrid, from Houdini, and then my renders are starting. I can sim on Deadline. So I have a little itsy bitsy tiny small home studio, I would say. Is out of the box, or did you code something in Python? For ShotGrid, I had to code. What did I have to code? Just a little bit for certain things for the project. Like we wanted to have a certain naming convention on the image sequence publishes, stuff like that. I had to code, but it's not too complex, honestly. Like they have all these templates and examples, so it's quite easy to adjust things. Yeah, so this is now the same Houdini. It's launching my initial bat file, which my bat file is full of my environment variables. So it's the same Houdini. Nothing changes. I probably should make this a little bit smaller so you can kind of see it a bit better. And the only thing which is a little bit different is you will see that there's a ShotGrid menu at the top. And then you can go File Open. And this will launch this nice little thing here. And this is all synced, right? This is synced with the web, and it's synced with whoever's on this project. So if Carsten in Germany would open the same thing, he will see exactly the same things. And if I save a new version, it will upload and he will see it right away. So it's pretty cool. I really am quite fascinated. So imagine I want to work on the thruster. I can go to Assets, Effects, find my thruster here, and it finds the scene files. You can see it was open on February last. Let me just select none here. And it always shows the working files and the published files. Right now we don't have anything published, but if I would open this now, then obviously it will find the scene, open it, and all the fun stuff. So I can do changes, save it, and then it's there. A cool thing now, if I want to create a new task, which I do want to do because I wanted to create this flying trash debris stuff, I could create a new environment. Call this asteroid trash, or yeah, just let's call it trash. Flying debris pieces in space. Type is an environment type. Task template. I actually don't know what we picked. Did I have a Delorean one in here? Maybe just go asset simple. It will be linked to the Delorean project. Create asset. And then you will see that this has been created. I can go into the asset. It has a current modeling and a surface task, so no effects task, which is fine because I do want to model it. No, I'm in Vancouver. That's why. It's actually 1 p.m., so it's still daylight. So you could add a task here if you want to have a effects task, effects, and then pipeline step would be effects, or it should probably be layout, I think. And then this should be as a, do we actually have modeling here? Interesting. Maybe this is something I need to fix. So I'm not sure exactly which pipeline step this should be. Maybe let's just leave it as effects. Assign to, I'll assign it to myself. Start date now, whatever, and just create the task. And then it should pop up here. Effects task. And the cool thing now is if I go to a new scene, shot grid, file, save, because I have a new scene, I want to save something. So that's always how it works. Then I want to find my tasks. It's an asset. It should be on the environment. And then you can already see asteroid trash. And this is also what Carsten would see in Germany, wherever. So I can just say, let's just say trash. Let's just call it asteroid trash. Like that. And then you can pick your Houdini files, hip C, save. And that's it. And now I can do all sorts of fun things and work, save, export caches. Let's just do, I'll be continuing a little bit later on this. I just want to go through the whole setup. Asteroid crash. And then I could just save it, and now I can work. Yeah, well, I did move. I was in London, UK for 2 years. So after that was in 2017, and then I moved to Canada. I will jump into Katana now. So I just wanted to show you this pipeline. So then again, you can publish the scene. It will export the alembics if there are any, and all of that stuff automatically. So right now this will just publish the hip file, but you can add all the other things you want to it to publish it along. And that's it. And then it will go onto our shared drive. And then we're back in Katana, right? So Katana, I guess not everyone is super familiar with Katana. It's a node-based multi-shot workflow system, essentially. Foundry bought it, I guess, like, I don't know when, but like a couple of years ago, probably close to 10 years ago, I think they bought it. Essentially, it's like Nuke. Like the nodes are like obviously downstream. You import your stuff, you do like your nodes, and then stack them together. It's a super flexible workflow, and the nice thing is it's multi-shot based, right? For me, I do have a global scene variable in here, global graph state variable, which is called shot, and then I can jump between the shots, and this will automatically change the caches. So if you look at the shotcam script, it's behind the scenes. It's just an alembic file, and all I'm doing here with some simple code logic, I'm grabbing the user version, I'm grabbing the shot, and then I'm just populating this string where it is on the disk, and that's all I'm doing. And then if I change this to a different shot, you will see that this will change it to shot 10, and this is now shot 50. So all of this is pretty much live based on the graph state variable. And the same applies to the assets, right? So this is now a macro or a group, you call it, and within this group is the alembic file. It's a similar string replacement system here. I have the look file assignments. The look file is actually pretty interesting. I'll explain that also in a bit. And then I'm activating the constraints within the look file. Constraints being maybe you have lights parented to the geo, or you have other geos constrained to this geo. So you need to activate this once you bring it into the lighting scene. Yeah, and these are all the effects. So if I would visualize them, we've got ABC files, point clouds, curves, everything is in here. Coming in, thruster geo, energy shields, many point clouds, and they all have the same data as in Houdini, which is pretty cool. So on the geometry point, you see the velocity, the width or P scale, We've got the CD attribute, which is color in this sense, how old each particle is. So these are all attributes created in Houdini. And yeah, so then I'm just taking all of them, merging them into one stream, making sure they have a nice hierarchy here in my scene graph. And that's it. So they're all coming together. Then I do some logic with scene visibility. And here's my material creation. So it's called a network material creative. Yeah, So in here you will see all my shaders, which I created. You can jump in here. You will see this new interface with all the networks. And I should actually group this. This is now a network on the outside. You can, the better way would be to group them into a shading group, and you will see I can jump into this again. So it's a little bit of inception, and then you're just working in that single context, and it's quite clean and all of that. And the cool thing is you can use backdrops and really make it super organized. Because this is a very simple shader, I just did things fairly quick like that. And then you can obviously do all sorts of crazy in here with Uber shaders, Uber compounds, and all of that, right? So this is now a very clean shading network. And yeah, these are right now all the shaders I have. These are utility shaders, and material assign stack is how you would say it. This Nelzinho is Katana. Material assign stack is a group of material assigns. So material assigns is a single node like this. If I show you the attributes, just which location, which material, assign it. And a stack is essentially the same. It's just stacking lots of material assigns into one node. You can create more in here, as you can see. And it's a little bit more organized. And within, it's just the same, just stacked material assigns, nothing crazy. Hey, hello from Vancouver to Brazil. I would say boa tarde or boa tarde. I think boa tarde is good day, yeah. Yeah, Arnold object settings, as it already sounds like this is to control Arnold specific objects, settings per object. So you have your geometry flags, subdivision, displacement, shading, ray flags for visibility, like camera on, camera off, all the fun stuff. This is something I just quickly wrote because the scene translation we had from Katana to, from Houdini to Katana, we had some scale issues. Not 100% sure yet what it is exactly, but this is essentially a very simple for loop going over this object if it has this attribute, and for every point or every attribute it finds, change the current value and multiply it by 2. So I'm just doubling the point size. The same with the width. And then the cool thing here is a gaffer, which is pretty exclusive to Katana, I would say. And this is like a lighting toolkit. So within the gaffer, you can create light rigs, you can inherit light rigs, you can inherit template materials, which are essentially light shaders. What else? You can directly constrain things. It's a very, very fun box. And you can obviously create another gaffer 3, which will in turn, if you look at this, right now it's empty, but you can say, oh, I want to pull in the incoming scene, and this shows you what has been done before. So if you are in shot A or in shot B, you could then do specific overrides for just this light. So you can say, if we are in shot B, I want to make the exposure X or whatever, right? So that's not 4. And super nice, non-destructive workflow. And this is currently what I'm doing, right? So these are all my render passes for my outputs, right? So I do have the Delorean render output, electric pulse render output, energy shield. So these are just separate renders, right? So as you can see, if I view from energy shields, this thing is active. If I go from to thruster, you will see it will populate this one. And how it works at the bottom here is a variable switch. and it is looking for a variable called pass name, and then all of these things are filled in. So the variables are being set at the bottom, vs parse name. You will see that it has some logic here to pick the render output name with some little expression here, and it populates this attribute. So whenever I change my output, it will change the variable, which then will change the shot work location. And you can also see the location in this little attribute here, and it will always tell you, oh, you are currently in this context here. Sorry, I need to view from the bottom. Oh, why doesn't it show it? Did I mess it up? Well, it should technically... Yeah, there you go. So you can see now it shows the shot BTF 30, and it doesn't show the local variables, which is really weird. It does work. Oh, there you go. So now it shows pass name energy shield. Pretty cool, and works. So the next thing what I need to do, we probably would need to change things per shot as well. Right now we are living in a pass output. So for every pass, I'll be doing this, this, and that. So what I'm doing now, if I move this up, this should actually not be called shot work, but it should be called render pass work. And if I would create a new backdrop now and do this, Katana is not a render engine. Katana is a software like like Nuke or whatever. So you have lots of render plugins which work. So like you can use Arnold with this, you can use RenderMan, V-Ray, I'm not sure about V-Ray, 3D Light, and all of these have obviously their own features. I use Katana because Katana is made for look dev lighting and multi-shot workflows. And as we have probably 6 or 7 shots, I thought I can do it in here. You can totally do it in Houdini using takes or even the new Solaris, but I did not dive into that so deeply. Hence, I use Katana. So this would be shot work context. And if I would do now a new variable switch here, oh, that was quite loud. I think that is a new sub. Thank you so much. So I can create a variable switch, which is based on the variable shot. So if I would change it to shot, and the default is, let me actually just connect this. So, like so. All right, so the variable switch is now connected, and it is looking for a shot named I1, whatever, which doesn't exist. So you obviously would need to rename this. So this would be BTF 0030, right? So this is one shot we have, and you can already see everything disappeared. Scene graph is empty, nothing works, because this points now to emptiness, to empty space, and then obviously Katana is not happy with me. So what needs to be done? It needs to have obviously some connection upwards. So if I connect this back in, it will now reconnect and everything will be working again. So this is technically what I did at the bottom. So now I will just be essentially recreating what I have at the bottom. Using the tilde key, you can have your little noodle here. Dot, 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 like that. It probably would make sense to just do it once and then copy the whole thing. Anyways, so if I move this up a little, this is now my variable switch. And then this is how things would be done, right? So you would do a new one, and this would be renamed to BTF 0010. And then can I move them? Probably not. I was hoping I could actually move them. Meow. I cannot move them. Okay, so then I would rename them the BTF 50. this would be, so it's probably important to do this in the right order from the get-go, like that. And then this would be oh, okay. So now this is how it is. You connect them, and then they will easily just switch around. Hey, Torben, how is it going? Probably from Germany, I would guess. Yeah, so let me put this guy in here, and probably depending on how you want to work, the render path should come before or after. So this is obviously a personal choice and a workflow choice, what makes sense for you as well. Okay. I like to have straight lines, so I always create these dots here. And they have to be the same location, like that. But this is just me being stupid. Come on. Yeah. All right, so you will see now, this is switching based on the shot. So if I would change my context now to shot 10, this changes the stream. And now I could do fun things in here. So I could do whatever, fancy logic, maybe make it a red light source for this shot. And then for this shot, I make it a orange light source, and then I'll do my nodes in here, like prunes or gaffer nodes, or all that stuff would go in here, like that. And then obviously they have to inherit. So if I make sure that it's inheriting the scene, I get my point lights or my directional lights, which I had. Do the same here, show incoming scene, and then you can also add more lights, right? So I would then create a disk light in here. And now this pass will have an additional disk light, which the others don't have. All right, so this is then, you can see how quick this would grow, right? So it's important to keep things organized, and sometimes even create live groups from things which you always want to reuse. Yeah, so at the bottom, if I would go now to my output of Delorean, you would see that for the shot, under the lights, if I go to shot 30, you would now see I've got my 2 distant lights plus my disk light, which is somewhere. And that's a cool thing about this. So this is now super flexible. And it's you can reuse it. Obviously, different shots, you have different assets, but the same logic applies. And then it's just, you have an amazing multi-shot workflow here, multi-shot workflow. And that is the basic gist of Katana. How I'm rendering things, I'm creating as files for each render path. So if I select these and I run my little script here, bake as, it's a funny name. It's called Arnold scene something something. That's why it's called as file. And then you want to bake it. So they also have Kick, which is their render engine. So it's called kick as, which is also quite ironic. Yeah, so I have a little Python script in here. You can see it's nothing crazy, a little for loop going over my current selection and then creating a output path name, and then it's baking all the as files to disk, and then I'm using deadline to pick them up and render them. That is that. And the render outputs, I have been helped by people on the Discord, JWR, for this AOV manager. Which is a pretty cool thing. It's a visual UI to enable AOVs for Katana. This does not exist natively, so people had to develop things like that. I added a couple of more features to it, like changing internal properties of the output define nodes and all of that. So that is now in here as well. Yes, velocity apply, motion blur stuff, render passes. Yeah, so once everything is rendered, and this is where I'm currently at, is to get the stuff into Nuke. Not a problem, but how we are doing this, we are rendering each render pass. You can see those render passes popping up, probably a bit small, but they are here. And each of them is not a merged EXR file. Technically, what you would see for smaller companies or home project, personal projects, is that people would merge the AUVs. Like you have one output for Delorean, and then you've got 30 layers of AUVs within this. If you load that into Nuke, depending on the size of the pixels and whatnot, Nuke tends to get very slow. So the better way is to render them all separate, like I did, and then you just load them into Nuke separately, and then Nuke is extremely fast. So if I load them all in here, you'll see now they are all like this. Obviously, you would now need to shuffle each one in and make things like that happen, which is also super cumbersome, right? To get everything in the right location and yada yada yada. You know what I mean? So obviously there is a solution for this, which I luckily found online from Simon, also from Germany, which I met actually a while back. It's just a script to create a shuffle node. So if I would run this multi-channel combine, all it's doing, it's creating shuffle copies and shuffling everything in. So if I now view from this one, I will still get all my mergers here, but the read times will be extremely fast because it doesn't need to evaluate each one independently. And if I just want to work on this is extremely fast. If I just want to change my normals, I can do that here. And again, speed is of the essence, especially for these bigger files. And then all you do is Control G it and create a group from this. And this would then be the Delorean group, which is this. And my output is right now the normal, which is not the right one. I want it obviously to be the last node, the last shuffle. And then you will see that I've got my environment and my Delorean. I can then just easily merge A over B. And then we have the first frames, which are super noisy and very small. These are just half HD, so nothing crazy. But the cool thing is everything works. So I could now just, I don't know, look at the Delorean, and if I just want to get the Z pass, this is what it is. 7 units in the foreground, and then close to infinity to the back. If you look at the environment, you will see that we have the planet here in the back, and all of this works very nice. Yes. So what I'm trying to do now, because things might change, we might have different versions and all of that fun stuff, but I'm not sure how to do this yet. I would love to be able to dynamically change the file path in here, but I cannot create an expression for this, and this is where I'm stuck. So right now I have to load them in manually, run this Python script to merge them, put them into a group, and that's it. So if I want to change something, I would either need to do a for loop over my selected nodes and change this using Python, let's say v1 or whatever, or I would just need to reload everything again, like this, if it's a new version, and just bring it in and run the script. So that's the current status, and I need to find a way, what's the best way to do it. And I guess you didn't even see my layers because it was hidden behind my face. So I was saying that obviously the layers are stacked in here now, so you can just visualize them like this. The merge nodes are only merging RGBA, so you can merge everything, and then you get the vehicle as well, and also all the other passes like emission, which we just have in the back, I think, from the thruster. But the Z pass should be in here. A little bit funky. I need to see. I guess we have got transmit AOV zone, which is not correct. But yeah, it's a bit dark yet still, but once we get the effects, I can load in the other thing as well, the energy shield. So I'll do the same thing. Oops. Seems a little bit less, right? No. And then we just need to find the beauty, which is RGBA. This needs to be selected at the end. Otherwise, the shuffles are a bit funky. So selecting them, script editor, running this, then deleting this one, and then oops, Control G this, And then we'll do another merge. And then we have the energy effects. And this has been rendered using holdouts, so everything is being held out by the proper geo. And this would obviously need to be renamed again. And I'm hoping that this will not need to be done too often. At least that's my hope. And then it should be not too bad to do this, right? And once we have everything in place, everything is rendered, then this should just be a copy and paste system, and hopefully it works. What is better is it better to render the depth of field or actually do it in comp? I would always say to do it in comp, just because you have way more flexibility. You can easily adjust the focal points, and if you render that, you would always need to re-render, and rendering depth of field is, first of all, super expensive, meaning that the render times are extremely high to get a clean depth of field. So I would always say do it in comp. You have way more flexibility. I have a bokeh here, and let's use this one. And yeah, it's actually really cool to do it in 2D. If it works, that's the other thing. I guess this doesn't work. Maybe I need to first check if it actually works. Oh, it's not called, it's called Z, right? Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Let's go 250. Technically, this should work. What is this? Is that not? Where's my Z-pass? Roughly 10, right? 10 should be it. So I'm surprised that this didn't pick it up properly. Let's say aperture 10. Focal plane. Oh, did I change the wrong thing? Ah, there we go. Yeah. So whatever is red is in focus. I'm not sure why it's so crunchy. It's probably because of my mixing. So that works. I don't need to grade the Z-pass, no. I'm not sure why you say that. No need to grade anything because it's real-world data. The only thing I think is wrong is how I'm merging them together, but that is a different topic. And if I visualize this now, you will see, oh, the Delorean is in focus just on this edge here. So obviously I can now go, oh, I want it to be in the front and the back, and you will see all these changes I'm doing now, you would have to re-render them, right? And you don't want to do that, especially if you render like 2K noise-free image. You just don't want to re-render everything all the time. And that's why it's great. And that's also why it's great to maybe pay a little bit for this plugin, because PG Bokeh is super nice. It works with deep data right out of the box, so you don't need to do anything. And yeah, so the only thing now, obviously, as I said, if I hook it up to the, this will work, right? So you can do you can do this, the depth of field per pass, and then you should be fine, right? So I can just do this, I think. And if I do this here, because it's all the same thing, like the Delorean is still the same as it was before, I can merge them, and then the depth of field will just work, right? So you do it per pass, and it's all good. You can merge them, as I said, but there were some issues. But the depth of field Z-depth is very different kind of blur. No, it's not. It's not. No, it's absolutely not. It's exactly the same. Like, what do you mean it's a different kind of blur? Hey, Yanni boy! Yanni in the house. Cool. Thanks, man. How's it going? Enjoying your Your Saturday. Himanshu, but you were talking about depth of field. Maybe you have been mixing up the words. Motion blur is something completely different than depth of field, right? So just keep that in mind. I would always render motion blur. Motion blur has to be rendered. You will always get something funky if you don't render motion blur. Cool. Oh, you can be on your phone in the sun and watch me stream here. But yeah, yeah. So this is currently the workflow, right? And as I said, I'm not a comper, so I just know little bit of compositing. But this is so far how this will be set up, which is nice. It works. We just need to populate everything. Then we need to export the camera. Then you need to do a projection, which we can do. Maybe some stars. So when the camera is panning, we will see stars moving. It's very easy to do. Just create actually a sphere. Put some texture on this. So if I just put a noise on this, what? Is it not called noise? So now you have this texture on the sphere. So obviously you can create. Where's the size here? Make this a lot bigger, a lot smaller, whatever you need to do. Obviously I would put in a texture here, and then this would be scaled up. The sphere would be scaled up. So maybe go 100. So this is a big sphere, and then you would need to get in the camera, which we can get from a file, which we have somewhere. So if I pick this from our project directory, we go into BTF0 effects. Where did he put it? Houdini, yeah. Cache 28. So in here, BTF30 is a shot camera. Load that in, and we should have the camera on. There we go. You can see now we have this moving camera. And if I now scale up my sphere to maybe another 0 and probably another 0, is there a way to flip it? Or do we just need to look through the camera? What's it called? Scanline render? No, is it called a scene, right? A scene is what I'm looking for. So this goes in here. This goes in there. Now we have a scene. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so now we have something, which is not great, but this would be our background, right? So if I do a scanline render now, camera, object scene, right? We don't even need it like that, I think. Ooh. That is something I can deal with later. It's probably the, oh, I need to just put in a plate, so I think. Let's do this. Yeah. So now this will be moving with the camera, right? So a constant. So if I have a texture of a space or whatever, then it will move with it, which is super cool. It's a very simple setup. So if I go to a different frame, you will see everything is moving with it. And if I would be really lazy, I can just go to Unsplash, one of my favorites, and find some kind of galaxy. I don't know, let's just do this and see what we get. So download for free. Put this for now on the desktop. And I'm not sure if this just works, but we'll see. Okay. Put that on a sphere. How does it look? Really bad. Really bad, but I'm sure we can change the stretching. Probably, maybe. That's something I would need to figure out. Yeah, you would probably use a night sky HDI. Yeah, That's probably even better. I thought you can change the repetition. Was it this here? Oh yeah, it was this. Okay. Yeah, but you get my drift. Probably, yeah, a sphere would be way better. Um, but then again, if I move, oh, we got stars. And then you can just do, oh, I want, this is my background. I want everything over the little projection setup. And there it is. Look how pretty. Deep space. Tile. Oh, tiling. Yeah, tiling. Tiling is probably what it is. But where do I tile it? I was hoping there was some kind of way to repeat it. Scaling it, but this is a texture scale. It's not super important to do it anyways now. Yeah, it's just a sphere scaling. No tile. Uh-huh. Is that a... Okay, I see. Yeah, it does. It's great. It does work. It does what it's saying. Anyways, it's just a concept, right? And this is what it is. Surely we need to have a defocus on here to match the blur. You can also use just an infinite Z, whatever. Obviously, this will be photographic, so we won't be having this kind of depth of field anyways. But this is the idea. Deep, blurry shot. We obviously want to see stuff, right? But now that we are doing this already properly, I wanted to do a night sky. Maybe we can find something. Night skies. We always get the ground though, which is a bit of a bummer. And you want to have I just want like a deep space HDR. I'm sure I'll find something. But anyways, this is just a proof of concept, and it works, which is super cool. So I'm saving this. I will work some more on this. And what else? Oh, I wanted to show the look file thing as well. So all the way here at the top, I can actually move this also to the side. So all the way at the top, I said something about look files. Why is this now locked? So in the Delorean, you'll see there's a look file assign and look file resolve, and the look file assign is picking this KLF file from the disk somewhere. And the very cool thing with Katana is it supports a look dev system, which is totally independent from the lighting scene. In Maya, you would probably do like a referenced scene. You would import a reference and then reassign the shaders, either name-based or manually. Katana has a very clever way of dealing with this. So let me just open up the look file. So it would be on a vehicle, Delorean, SFG, work, Katana, 7. Right, so that is our look file, look dev scene, and super easy. So geo in here, I have lots of test geos, but also the Delorean, which is obviously the one we're working with. And I'm setting up some turntable systems here. Let me just show that to you as well. First, let's go to my render camera. All right. So it's the same asset, same vehicle, and I have my default rotation. So if I go to frame 1, this is what it looks like. You will see if I spin around, the car rotates, and then the light rotates, and this is my look dev environment. Arnold object settings, subdivision attributes, all of these things you don't need to do in the shot. You do this in the look file scene, like you set the specific displacement heights, the subdivision amounts, all of that is stored in the look file. And then also the cool thing is you can create like these little face selections. So if you have like a vertex or like a poly face, you can select that and store it under an attribute. And then in the gaffer node, which is our lighting system, I created these, or we have these headlights in here. And based on the face selection, we can parent constrain them to this exact location. So whenever the car moves, these lights are parented to it, so they move with it. And it was a bit tricky because once it's cached out, the system doesn't really know, is this it's an alembic file, a cached per frame file, but there's no transform data, like there's no keyframes from if the car is here or there. It's not animated, so it's just loading a geo here and geo there. So how would it know how to interpolate the location? And this is where the face sets come in. So you create these face sets, and then the light will just always be at that face set. So the one trick is to do as I said before, we do a parent constraint or point constraint actually, which just moves the light to this location. And the other constraint is a orient constraint, which then rotates the light to the proper axis, which works, I guess, on the front. Yeah, it's on here. So these two constraints are very important to get these the light working once it's moving. And then same thing, look dev files, and in here we have all the substance painter materials. So Valentin or Tago from the Discord, he was doing the fine tuning of the shaders. So I did the painter, the textures in Substance Painter, but he brought them into Katana. He's got like this little Uber material which pulls in all the texture files and then creates color correct nodes for the windows and standard surface shaders, mixes things together, and then we have all these different outputs, right? That's what the look dev is doing. You will see this is the Delorean namespace and the Delorean materials. And on certain locations in the hierarchy, you will see these assignments. So we have our glass, which will get the glass materials here connected. Metal goes to metal, all of that. Thanks, Johnny. Yeah, have a good night. Enjoy your weekend. It's late Saturday for you now, so happy Sunday tomorrow. Yeah, and then at the bottom we do have our environment setup. In here we have different HDI studios, HDI lights, like a studio light campus, all of these different HDIs. They are rotated, as I said, after frame 36. Quality setup is just a live group I'm pulling in. So at the top here, you can see you can change the different HDIs. It's just changing them on the fly. So you can quickly render it in this environment, quickly in that environment. You can have a commercial, like all of these ones are the ones I just put in here. Different geos, different render qualities, different resolution, and all of that is in here. And then you just render, and until like once you're happy, you just render to disk and it works. So how do we get this into lighting, right? That is the big question. And it's done with a Katana look file, right? It's a KLF. And the KLF baking process needs input location and an output location. And in between those two bake points, like whatever happens in between the top and the bottom, this stuff will be baked into this XML or /KLF file, and then will be applied into the lighting scene, right? And you'll see that my endpoint is all the way up here before we do anything. And this is how the lighting side would be as well. You would just load in the alembic of the cached vehicle, and it's the same as the look dev scene. It's just, you're just loading in the alembic, and that is your starting point. And whatever comes after will get baked. You will see we are baking up, down until this point here, look file bake. And all of that is part of this. So now all we have to do is specify what location we want to bake. We want to bake this location, and everything below will be applied. And it's pretty easy. You just write the look file, and then in lighting, you just load the scene. Haha, Julius, you're too late. I showed all the magic already. But thanks for showing up. Yeah, so, and then in here, the DeLorean, you will see look file assign, and that is pulling in the file I just showed you from the lighting looked at scene. We're resolving the location, so it's actually creating the materials and everything. And once you go in here, you will see the look file, the constraints are in here, then we're activating the constraints, so everything works nicely. Local lights, and that is it. And then in here, I think you should see also the material somewhere. Here's the material. Thanks. Yeah, and then you can see that it has been. Yeah, I'm happy to share it. It's the whole project right now. So I'll try to do these streams weekends if possible, and then just keep everyone updated on the process. It's a fun journey. It's actually cool to actually do a bigger style project at home. It's nice. Yeah, so that's a look file story, and then you can have look files for all these different things. Yeah, and then you have your scene. And the big challenge now is to create all the effects, and the effects are quite demanding. So that's Karsten is working on those a lot, and I'm doing the minor effects. And what I said before when I showed you the Ready Player One trash scene, that's what I'll be doing now. So this was the update of the stream, and now I will be going into Houdini, and I will be creating these flying trash geometries. It will just be fun for me to do. It's not super demanding. It's essentially procedural modeling, breaking up things with noises and stuff like that. So I'll just go into my asset library, go in here, and I don't know, what do we have? Let's go DMI. I got lots of different kind of geos in here, which we can just pull in, maybe floating gun or whatever, and then we just deform it using deformer, and we'll be just scattering all of these junk pieces. And the general idea is you have a grid of points, you just do copy to points. So now this should probably be packed. So now you have all the guns, and if you have now, let's say we've got the gun, we've got this tie or this wheel. Come on, wheel. We got. Sure, we have a floating. Let's do a floating RV. Floating RV, and all of these should be packed. They are not, so I'll just pack them. Pack, pack, pack. Come on. Now I messed up my sorting. And then I want to merge them. I just mixed up the applications. And now you have them all in one piece, and then you want to create a, what do I else do? Do I do a variant? Keep forgetting when I can obviously use connectivity, but I can also just use a p, just float, I just integer. Hey Ola, it's going pretty good, thank you. How are you doing? I'm finally found my mojo back, and I'm doing more streams again. Random. Now we should have 9 pieces in here. You can see you've got random variants here, specific values. I'm not sure if you can say do exactly this amount. Obviously I can use just class, which makes way more sense. Connectivity. And this way I'm getting a integer called class, which I can just call variant, and then we're done with it, right? So this is just storing each variant as an attribute, and then in here I could do a just integer. Come on, integer points. This should go in here, and then make sure that you tick this piece attribute, which is called variant. And now let's see. Now we just have tires, and if I change it to 1, we now have lots of RVs. Maybe I should do a axis align. Cool. Hello from Armenia. Wow, that's far away. So there's a lapse. I think axis align has obviously origin and also scaling. So what you want to do, you want to make sure everything is the same size. So you can just say scale to fit, and did that do this? Target size 1. I think that's what I want. Yeah, it is what I want. Obviously now everything is the same scale, which might be weird, but now if I do the copy to points, this should not be weird. So now I can obviously change my things and it will just work. And now I can obviously say random, and then I want to have the maximum amount of this. I actually don't know how we would read that, but for now, we've got 2, so I can just go in here and say from 0 to 2, and now we have all these elements, right? And if you would have a big asteroid belt which lives on a circle primitive on a ZX plane, and we do a sweep, and we do it on a square tube. No, we do it on a ribbon. Is that not what I want? What's happening? Is that not what I need? I thought this is all I had to do. Convert line. Maybe it has to be a poly. There we have a line. And down the sweep works. I'm a little bit surprised that it does create individual lines. The poly. Something is what I want. Some of these are the right things. Aha. Yes, this works. All right, so I got my asteroid belt, which is this thick, and now I can just do a scatter instead and do this and not have this. And now use those points, and now got all of this. Millions of points. Lots of points. And now obviously p-scale. Add just float, which defaults to p-scale, which is very convenient. And then we just do a random size between 0 and 1. We can obviously then go between 0 and 0, 1 and 0, 0, 1. Now we've got these very small pieces everywhere, right? And now we want to have random rotation. So you can use mobs, or you can use to attribute randomize. And here you would go and say, I want to use orient. Orient is the thing Houdini uses to rotate things. And you want to have 4 dimensions. You can do inside sphere, I like to do that. You can then specify in which direction they should turn, right? At 180 degrees, so they're all random. And this is what it is. And now you can have huge flying RVs or not so huge flying RVs. Is there any news about the environment of the Discord Karelia project? The man in charge just went to bed, but I can show you roughly where we're at. So it's still live, it's still active. We still need people on this. Currently, lots of props are still being textured. We had probably up to 50 or so props. And I think most of them, I think we have a couple outstanding still, but most of them are now textured. So the next step would be scene assembly and getting everything together. And yeah, it has been a long time, but it's still going. It's on a very slow burner. But yeah, so here's one kind of environment shot, lots of geos. I was looking if I find the like a bigger overview. Yeah, it's definitely going. It's still in progress. But yeah, so this is currently what I'm doing for this project. So we have 3 pieces, and it looks already like we have so much more. But technically, we just have 3 elements. And the cool thing now is I would just need to deform them if needed. So I could go into the wheel. I would probably do a remesh because we don't need that much data. So if I just do, maybe that was not the right thing. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe I just went a bit too. So what are 11,000 down to 5,000? So this would be more than enough, and then you could just do a mountain sub to just break it up if needed. The cool thing is it doesn't have to be super detailed because they will just be silhouetted in deep space. So it's not a big deal. Let's just do a very small noise. Yeah, it's fun. Like the Delorean project is obviously a lot smaller, so that's why we can push a bit more, which is nice. But yeah, it's the other project is also super nice. So yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah. Anyway, so you can, I don't know, break up the shapes. I'm not even sure if the remesh is needed. It is probably needed, but there's also a way to deform them, which I think never did. Let's see what it was called. Path point deform. Thought there was something with a grid. Is that just poly deform? Target mesh, source mesh? I don't know. Thanks, my weekend is going good. We just have Saturday, so I still need to watch F1, which is fun. So other than that, it's super nice outside. I'm I I have having fun again streaming stuff, so I would say it's good. Yeah, so this would be this, and let's say this whole RV we kind of remesh too. Oh, is there no DVR? Probably not then, but the stream will be uploaded right after. So once I'm offline, then it will be processed, and then you should be able to see everything. So points from volume. VDB from particles is what I was to say. So sometimes just doing things like stupid things like this is more than efficient. If you just want to have a really low remeshed geo, which you don't need to see much detail on this. This is sometimes more than enough. Smooth SDF. You see, this is already a lot simpler now. It still kind of looks like something. It's not obviously this high detail thing, but we don't need the high detail thing. Like this would probably be more than enough. So if I just use this instead, this is now highly optimized, and the gun itself, we can just do the same trick here I just did. So I'm just copying this whole thing, scattering lots of points on this, creating VDBs from it. Obviously, they need to be a lot smaller, and we need a lot lower scale like this. STF. We don't want to smooth, we want the curvature in this sense, so this is a lot better. Convert. And now we have 9,000 versus 6,000. Great job, Arvid. Great job. Yes, but at least we do have one consistent geo. I'm just creating some random assets now, which we will be scattering in the space. So this won't be super exciting, but just something to do. Scroll 5. I'm surprised how it creates all this interior geo, which the other one don't have, I think. So maybe let's just stick with this then, because it is anyway super lightweight. All right, so what else do we have? Asset library. We have trucks, Formula 1 cars, more trucks. I thought I had a plane somewhere. Artillery vehicle. Cars. Got all sorts of stuff in here. Food, interior, kit bash. I don't think there's much in here. Chase. Oh, I do have, these are all the chase assets from the project, which we can use as well. So for instance, could have this floating antenna. It's not a bad idea. Maybe this is cool. Then we could have this. So 2 more objects. What is this? Dome? What else? Trash bags. Yes, put in those trash bags. And another one. That's just Stormtrooper. This one is too heavy. What else? Interior. Maybe we put in some chairs. You know, this is super random what I'm doing now. Let me actually show you. For the ones who don't know what I'm dealing with right now, we just find the page. So I just, for the DeLorean, we were thinking of doing maybe like a planet in the background, and it's supposed to be some asteroids flying through space. But then I saw this in the Ready Player One art book, and it's maybe a little bit hard to see if I can actually place it at all. It's essentially the planet, but then instead of asteroids, there's a lot of junk floating around. So I'm creating this junk stuff now. So if I do A, and if I do merge them all in here, the best way would actually be a for loop. But now, anyways, now we do have how many pieces now? We do have, oh, I need to pack them all. And this is probably why I said a for loop would make way more sense, because then I just need to do it once and put in all my objects at the top. But anyways, this works too. Now we do have 9 pieces, so now I would need to go in here, change my variant from 0 to 9. And I probably also need to do this quick, which is my match size, which we need in here as well. So all of them are the same size. And now you can already see we have all this junk floating. Huge chairs, all of this. So obviously I would need to adjust the sizes to be in a better relation. Like, we don't want to have a huge floating chair and then like this freaking huge thing and a person. But that is the idea, right? So it will be probably seen at a vast distance, and then things will just be floating. That is the idea. So if I open up the original layout scene, this is, I probably essentially did it the same way, but again, these are now the asteroids. And this is the planet. Planet was done in a very similar way as I just did the asteroid belt, based on curves. I extracted them. Where is it? Here? Yeah. Polypath. Did extrusions, did some more copies, brought that in, geo on it, mobs randomized on it, and then credit group, and then obviously I just created this for loop somewhere to copy these points to the asteroids. So nothing super dramatic. Asteroid field. Hey Thomas. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I thought it's good to get back at it. I haven't done this in a while, and it feels good to be, yeah, back streaming. So yeah, obviously things are rotating. This is over 400 frames, so it's actually very slow like this. It's probably even still too fast, depending on the size and the distance of camera. But this is roughly what it is. And now the idea was, instead of having just these things, have the trash floating around. I think that would work quite nicely, um, because you will not see anything really. First of all, lots of motion blur, and you don't even see anything on the asteroids itself. Like on the belts here, you don't see anything. So we need to see, probably also our shutter size is too much, so it's just too blurry. But all of these things are controlled in Houdini and in Katana anyway. So once we get all the renders out the door, things will be way more interesting. Yeah, this is what it is. So what I'll be doing, I'll take a quick break now, but when I'm back, which will not be too long, I will be working on the headlight setup, which I will do in Katana. So this will be a atmosphere scatter pass with some noise, um, and it will be a separate render layer. So that is something I'll be working on in a bit. So probably back in like 5 or 10 minutes. All right, I am back. Okay, so as I said, this is still my pretty drawing here. I'm trying to do these headlights now. I technically know how it works in Houdini or in Arnold in Maya, but I haven't tried it in Katana yet. Probably the same way. We would need to have an environment shader, an atmosphere shader, plug that into the globals, have the lights affected, right? So it should not be super complicated. But let's try to get it. So first of all, environment is the geo. I want to create a new pass for now. Copy and paste it. And I do want to hook it up. And this will be called atmosphere or atmos. Oh, I think there's a shader code like that. What can we call it? Atmosphere, or let's just call it scattering, maybe. Atmos scattering, whatever, scattering. All right, so all of this should work automatically. It should pick up the right name, so that's nothing to worry about. And now we can go into the random path section, which doesn't exist yet. So all I need to do, make this first full screen so you can see what I'm doing. I'll just copy this whole batch, copy and paste, hook it up, and do this, and I do this. Do the dot here, and then hook it up into a new port and rename it to, what did I say? Scattering. Like that. All right, so now this is hooked up. You can see it got life. My nodes are now colored, and I can call this one scattering. There you go. I don't need this one. It'll be this. All right. Master in action. Well, I'm super rusty with katana, so I wouldn't say master in action, but trying to get back at it. So first, what I want to do, I want to isolate everything. I just don't want to deal with everything in the scene. So for now, I'm just focusing on the lights of the vehicle, which are in here. I just want to do this, drag this onto my isolate. If I can do it, set, isolate, location. And now you will see I only have the lights. I'm not sure why they are not visible. Is it because I removed the parent constraints? Possibly. Maybe use the whole of Delorean instead. Yeah, here they are. So what happens is the constraints are kind of live, and if I remove the parents where they are constrained to, they just don't know where to go. So what you can do is a CR, constraint resolve, drop that before, and if I'm not mistaken, this should now work. Yeah, so now we have floating lights. That's what I wanted. Cool. So obviously if I render now, we should just see nothing because maybe we should see the lights itself. If they are visible to camera. They are visible to camera. I'm not sure why they are so boxy though. That's weird. That is super weird why they are so boxy. Is that a volume? I have no idea what that is. That's super bizarre. What is this? Taillight? This is not the volume box, I think. Well, either way, let's create a material. Let's do it actually up here where we have our material boxes, util boxes. And I have Cryptomat, I've got imagers, so let's just create a new network material. And we call this Atmos, or scattering, whatever. In here, jump in, and we need to create, so now comes a tricky thing. So it expects all of these, operators, color manager, cameras, AVs. I thought there was something like an environment shader. but there is not. Atmosphere volume. So where would this connect to then? Arnold volume shader? That is now something I have no idea. So it seems it wants to go to volume. Let's just put intensity to 1. And now we would need to go back up to our paths, credit AGS Arnold globals. And I think in here, there was something for globals. Somewhere there was an environment thing. Let's see where we find this. If anyone knows, if we have a Katana Pro, I'm always eager to get some help. If not, I'll find it, I'm sure. Scene generation, no. Output motion, no. Lighting, probably. Lighting environment. Background, atmosphere, right, that's what we want. You have to find an inherited material to be used as an atmosphere shader. Insert the path. All right, so the path is here. And adopt singular selection. So this is what it is. And if I connected it right, we might see something. Control P to re-render. Oh, freaking hell, it does work. Okay. Lucky me. Okay, cool thing. So now we can do all sorts of fun things. Rear lights, like tail lights, headlights. Technically, we just want it on the headlights. Yeah, so gaffer, we can put it in here. We want to inherit. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe we need to change it to this location. Ah, cool. That's so cool. So now it's inheriting from the look file location, which is epic. Let's see if we can actually deal with this. So if I make them active, so add up for editing. If I mute them, I obviously need to make them live, which they are not. So if they are live and just roll out, then I can start a live render. And now whatever changes I do will be triggered into this live session. So if I render this region, I think I do have progressive off. Control Shift P to start a live session. There we go. So now it's nice and snappy. And I should be able to mute things. And it does work. Okay. So if I unmute the headlights, we should just see those coming back, hopefully. Or not. Add up for editing. Okay. So just the headlights are active, right? So now we can do all sorts of things, right? Obviously our intensity, our density is very strong in the material itself. We can change that. Or we can change the intensity of the light source, right? So a couple of options to do. These are inherited lights, so inherited materials. So if I adopt these for editing, the headlights are driven by this. Maybe I cannot change it. Doesn't seem like I'm able to change this. That's a bummer. Wonder why that is. So this is the master material. And this seems to be locked. Okay, now it did something. Oh, it's weird. So what if I change this now? I'm not sure if it did anything really. Edit look file material. Oh. See, I haven't really dabbed in look file override materials, but we'll see. Maybe this is the way to do it. Asset material path. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Let's see. Shaders. Oh, now I can. Now I can change it, I think. No. Well, something is changing, but it's just that one light. It's not all the lights, which is a bummer. I was hoping I can just change this one. Maybe I need to do this in here instead, in the attributes. Nah, I don't think so. Okay, so that is a bummer. So let me see what we can do then instead. So my idea was, how can I change, like I want to change the intensity of a light. So I see its values here. It does work, but it's per light. And I'm not sure if I like the per light thing. Oh, well, anyways, let's just do this per light then. So exposure to 2. You can see that they start, obviously, it does affect them and it does work as it should. But now I need to do it 4 times instead of just 1 time. Okay. Control Shift P. What's up, Toronto? How's it going? Yeah, cool. So it does kind of work. And now we can still go back into our materials, make sure that Atmos material is live as well. And then wherever I created it, I can probably right click here and go to atmosphere volume and change the density here. You can see now I can really crank it, reduce it, which is nice. So now we would have this kind of nice effect of volumes. I'm not sure, I still need to figure out what these freaking boxes are. They must be visually in here. Like it might, the light must need to be visually contributing, which is this, I guess. So there. I'm not sure if it does change anything. It should, but we need to see. Camera 0, 0. Okay, they do go away. Cool beans. And the last one, 0, 0. Okay, so we got rid of these weird funky boxes. And the next thing I would guess is we would need to create some kind of breakup. Right now it's a super clean volume. Technically, there's nothing in space. There shouldn't be any clouds or dust, or well, dust sure, but there shouldn't be any atmosphere, which adds noise. But I always think that something small goes a long way. So I will be jumping into our shading network. I will group this, Control G, or just G, and I want to rename this to SG Atmos, and then dive in here and create a noise. Noisy noise. Like that. And I believe all we have to do is multiply this noise with our density. Our current value is 0.05. Like so, and if I plug this into density, it should be identical. If I multiply this number now with 0, it should go black, which it is. And if it's 1, it's back to where it was. And now if I connect this, let's see what happens. Input 2, got something. It's probably way too small or way too big. So if I put this into world space and I go maybe 500, we see nothing. Not good. What if we go 0.01? Still nothing. So now comes the tricky part. I don't really fully know. This is the way to do it. We can try also to use the RGB density instead. So I would just plug this into the density and disconnect density and have density on 1. So now comes the trial and error part where I'm not super familiar with. So this is input 0. Let's put this back to 1. Okay, back to 1, and we're multiplying it with this noise, which is at 250 in world space. We go back to 1. I was hoping this would work, and I know it does work, because you can do this in Maya or in Houdini easily. But I just don't know why this doesn't work. Straight to density. It's definitely doing something, but I think it's just not doing the right thing. Well, any ideas, I'm always open for it. Graph, world space. Vector? No. Shouldn't be in vector space. Is there any error message in the log? Not really. Is it an update issue? Nope. What else can we try? Maybe a different noise? It's probably not the problem, it's not the noise itself. Hey Netherlands, what's happening? I can't speak Dutch. I used to be able to speak Afrikaans, but I lost most of it just by not speaking it. So I'm actually from Southern Africa, and they speak Afrikaans where I'm from, which I was able to speak pretty good when I was living there, but it just fades away pretty quick. Like Anand is, I think, what I would say, which means good evening or something in a more slang way. So, no noise. Maybe we need to go really, really low. Well, something changed now. Goede avond. Yeah. Well. It's interesting because I think I do see noise, but then again, I don't. Let's see, maybe Arnold noise atmosphere. Kit bash atmosphere volume. Interesting. Oh, it's just what he's doing. Okay, so is he doing some noise decay? He's doing light decay? That's not a good way to do it. Because you're breaking physics. Is he doing noise is the question. Not that I can see. I'm sure I did this so often to add noise in it. I probably even have a tutorial myself on it. No one's doing clouds. What's happening? That is, like, obviously we can do a VDB, but that is extremely heavy. Shit, what's this going on? Why is this not working? Is that probably the texture space? No. Effect camera. So if I disconnect this, what else can we do in here? So obviously we have density, samples, attenuation, affect the camera, affect the fuse. Yes, yes, yes. And this is just the color of this, I would think. I'm not sure if we need user data. That's something I never had to do before. So we can obviously get a position somewhere. Normal zoom. Oh, is it? Oh, it's a vector, I think. There we go. We want the state vector, I think. And the state vector should give us P, which should be world position. We can try if I use this for my P position pass and multiply 1 with that noise value, and we go back to density. Yeah, not much progress here. What the hell? It's possible that we just need to really clip it a lot. It's possible. I'll try this now. So let's say 0.4 and 0.6. No. Oh wait, what? Always is that noise or is that the size? Let's see. I go back to 1. Yeah, I think that was it. I think it's working. No, no, No denoisers active. It's extremely slow now, though. But I think we have some noise now, so my intention was correct that our noise was just not clipped enough. That was my suspicion now. Oh. First crash. How's the new box treating you? Great. New box is helping me a lot on the rendering side. I'm not simming too much yet on it because we don't have these heavy scenes. I'm still working on the same box, but I think it will help a lot in the long run. Where did we crash? Did not save anything. Well, something weird just happened. I'm not sure. Seems like a hard crash, so I'm not sure where we are. Didn't save. It normally does lots of backups. Yeah, okay, not too bad. Okay, so do we still have everything assigned then? We got the environment, material atmos, got that. Let's go back to this. Geo assets. Okay, we still got that. Great. So I guess the only thing we need to still adjust is the materials itself, which obviously did crash. Yeah. But luckily, I know where we are, and I didn't lose too much. So in the end, it was just the noise needing a range. And driving the multiply with that. We don't really need the multiply. It's just easier to control because then we don't deal with these super small values. So my input 1 was, let's go 0.1 for now. Input 2 is the noise, and we go back to density, save. And then we need to smooth step on, and let's say we go to 0.6, maybe 0.7. So this is clipping it a lot. So now, can I do this? Oh, it is scattering. Oh, we need to do the live things again. We want the lights to be live, and we want the material to be live as well. So now if I go live render, okay, so we get something. I still need to, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so we do see that the right one is a lot brighter than the left, which is what we want. We also see that we still have the boxes back. So if I would change the noise, hopefully it won't crash again. But let's see. If I go back, maybe go to 250. Okay, we can see it's 250 is too much. 50. Still too much. Yeah, I don't know. Something is still not right. It looks like super streaky, and it's not what I would expect it to be. It's not correct. It's not right. Scales are correct though. Coordinate space is world. Yeah, I'm almost out of ideas. It's getting somewhere. It's not ideal though. Let me first do the gaffer stuff again. It's a shame that I cannot affect all at the same time if I select more than one. It's a bit of a bummer. Anyways, contributions, what do we say? 0, 0. Okay, so now we don't have any contributions here. Oh, it's extremely slow now. And they feel like streaks. It's not it's a 3D cloud, it's more like a 2D thing. And it's very interesting. But the good thing is it's a separate pass and we can deal with this as we need, like later on. It might be the motion blur, technically. Let's see if I disable motion blur. That does it. Ha! It was the motion blur? Oh my god. It was the freaking motion blur. Shit, okay, I got a phone call. I'll be back probably in 5 to 10 minutes. Sorry, that took some longer than expected. But yeah, I'm back. So, turns out motion blur was our big friend here. Right, so it was done in the shader, so obviously I cranked up the noise now like insane. Well, Houdini Katana is not super annoying, really. It's just if you don't know where things are, it's obviously a bit problematic. So let's see. Should be. Alright, so now it kind of works, right? So now our range is obviously way too aggressive. But yeah, cool thing is it does work now as I was hoping it would. And now it's just a matter of fine-tuning it. Overall intensity is on 0.1. We can reduce that to 0.1. There you go. That's now getting where I wanted it. So we have these subtle little cloud patterns in here. Again, based on the range, if you want it to be more solid, you need to get closer to the same value, then they are pretty much constant. But if you reduce this, you will see now, if I go back to 0 on this one, we will have quite a broken up look. And then this is just a matter of adding more or less, depending what obviously you want to see. I guess it should be subtle, not too much, so that's why I have it super low. And then again, the cool thing is with this now is you can expose these values. So I could say add to material interface, and now this would be on the top level on this. So if I go to Atmos, I can now change the scale on the outside. So if I want to have it even smaller, I can do this now in here, which is quite nice. So it's on the top level. This is how you should author the materials. You should do this, the things on the inside as you want them, and then you would expose certain parameters to the outside for the artist to play with, right? So that is the focus or the idea of this. Reset region of interest. So now this is what it looks like. And it might be too much, but again, with the motion blur on top, this was obviously a big problem. So if I bring back motion blur now, let me just stop this render. You will most probably see that it will look constant again, but this is then how it is. If I bring these back to the defaults and I do Control P for render, this is what it is. And this is no motion blur. And fast motion objects, you still might see something going in and out of frame, but this is what it is. But it was a good gotcha to actually figure out that it is motion blur. Cool thing is now we can obviously, if you change the gamma, you can have lots of control in comp, and this is probably what will be done in comp anyways, just to control it better. We don't want the real lights, we just have the front lights, so these will be plus on top. We can use an underlay here, which is also nice. So if I go underlay, do I still have a render? I do not. So if I would just render the Delorean quick from here, preview render, I can use the Delorean then as an underlay and put the fog on top. So if I would just drag this in here and put this, yeah, actually just view from this. And now you can see what it would look like with a comp version. So Delorean is still rendering. I'm not sure if this view is updating. Wow, is it so slow? What's happening? Oh, we have all the effects in it, right? That's why. We still have all the lighting effects and everything on top of it. That's why it's sampling so long. And I think this is actually the final render settings as well. So this is quite high. Yeah. But anyways, again, if I put this as my underlay, view this, this is what it will look like. And I think it kind of works. And this is the idea we had. And we will be changing the colors and comp, obviously. I can quickly have a look if we can do some real fog, not too intense, just a little bit glow around it if that is necessary. And if we want to do that, then I would do two kind of light colors, so to be able to separate them. What I mean by that is in the gaffer for the scattering component, we do have these lights, right? So I changed the contribution, right? Yeah. So what I would do instead, just pick. Yeah, I would just change the color here. I'm not sure why this is locked now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I would just do a fully red color. Oh my god, why is it so slow? I'm surprised that I cannot do this with the master material. So I'm doing this to be able to mask it in comp later. So these will get, then let's make sure we adopt them for editing. So these will be then not red, but let's say we go green on those. And green on this one as well. Like that. So is that me? I'm not sure why we don't see the rares actually. This is Katana. Katana. Right, let me just make this scattering visible and see what we get now. I'm surprised because I didn't mute it. Oh, I just isolated them, I guess. No. Are we supposed to see both? I'm not sure why we don't see the rear. Maybe the exposure is not high enough. Let me crank up the exposure. Aha. Exposure was not high enough. So instead of 0.05, maybe go 2. Maybe go 4. Yeah, I can start to see something. Maybe go 6. Oh, why is this so sensitive? And then I also wanted to change the size of the light itself. And this is the spread angle. So I want it to be actually on 1, so it's a really wide light source instead of a super narrow one. And if I change them both under the common to spread on 1, you will see I'm not sure, it's not really updating properly, I think. And I'm not sure why. There you go, yeah, it was just an update. So now we can actually see both lights. And again, I can use now the green channel to just get those, or I can just use the red channel to just get those, which is super convenient. What I do want to do, I did remove everything, which was not perfect. I need to keep the whole of DeLorean, the whole vehicle in here, like that. I do want to remove the glass elements because they would be blocking the lights in this moment. So I would select these pieces, and I think this is glass 3. And then I would do a prune. And now the lights are pruned, like just the glass panels are pruned. So I have the clean lights. And now what I want to do, I want to make the car a holdout. So it's an Arnold object settings, like that. And I want to select all the poly meshes from the Delorean location. So I can do now custom, I can pick the Delorean, and if I do / asterisk, it will, if you display it, it will display all the geo which it affects. So what you can do, it's a cool way, you can do a curly bracket and you can type at type is equal to, how about doing this right, polymesh, and if we filter now, it's only picking up all the geo pieces, and you can also select them, and you will see that all of these pieces are selected. But we're missing a couple. We're missing the body, and what is the body's type? It's a sub D mesh. So now you would just do another custom one and do a sub D mesh means it's subdividable. Otherwise, it will just be a hard surface object. If you find and select pieces now, you will see now everything will be selected. And this is what it is. It will expand every location, which is quite slow. So we can just collapse it, and now everything, will it collapse? There we go. And now everything is hidden. Yeah, the cool thing now is all we have to do now is in the object settings. So now we have our locations. We can go to, that was geometry, but it wasn't. Matte, there we go. If I don't have matte on, it will render. So if I remove my reach of interest and I do Control P, yeah, I'm not sure. It is Katana. We should see that it has removed certain things. It's not interfering with the lights. So the light should be able now to be plussed on top. That is not the case. Probably we have visibility flags not set. So let's see what the visibility on, let's say, the body would be. So now if you select and go to attributes, you can go to Arnold statements, ray flags, matte is on, but visibility is off, which is for matte to work, you have to have visibility on. So now visibility is on, and if I do now Control P again, you will see hopefully now that the real lights will be cut out, and now they are. You will see that before you had still the whole of the lights in here, but now the car is on top, and now it's actually cutting it out. And now in comp you can just overlay it, you can just plus it, and you will see now this works a lot better. Before it was in here, and now it's cut out properly. Cool thing now, we can just render this region, we can go back into the gaffer, and we can increase the exposure. Let's go maybe to 10, because we can always contrast it down if needed, or gamma it down, and then we should be fine. So if I go 10 in here, and also 10 in here, and I do Control P to render, then we now have a lot of lights for the rear. But again, as I said, we can go to the green channel, we can gamma it down, and then it will disappear. So we can control it in a nice way, this way. If I reset it and render it one last time, Control P, and then we have a good render pass like this, and this will just be plussed. And then in Nuke, we will be doing some fancy things with it. Probably a bit more breakup or whatever. Like that. We can also go to a different frame just to test it. Let's go maybe to 14. That's on the side. Maybe it's something like this. Let's see what we get. Yeah, so this kind of works pretty nice. You can see that the Delorean is cutting out the volumes. And again, red for the headlights and green for the taillights. We just will plus them over and we should be good to go. Pretty nice, pretty nice. All right, that also sums up what I roughly wanted to show today, which was, again, the overall project, plus a few bits and bobs here, adding the scattering paths, doing some of those trash pieces for the flying space shots, talking about these things. But yeah, thank you everyone. If you liked this live session, please leave me a comment or also give me a thumbs up. It does help my channel a lot and obviously motivates me to keep going. So thank you for that. If you want to get more info about the project, there's a Discord link below, so check that out as well. And then I would say